Hey everyone, welcome back to a Fundamentalist Gypsy Life where we celebrate women of faith. I got my old partner here. You just jumped up here with me. This is Bernard. But today we have a special guest, and her name is Rebekah Carrico. And I've known Becca for a long time, and so we're going to bring her on right now. Hey, Becca. How are you?
Hey, how are you? Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. It's good to see you. I had seen you last time I saw you. We were in Gatlinburg, I think. We saw you. We were in a store or something. There you were. Jamie goes, "Hey!" But I've known you for
up on the big bridge.
Yes, that's where it was. Right. Yeah, exactly. But I don't even know how old.
Big bridge. Yeah.
How old you were? How old you were when we first met you? I think we saw your dad first. Was he on the road by himself for a little bit when he first started out?
Well, we traveled with him really till we were a little bit older. So not a lot of people knew who we were. He did all the singing and preaching, until we got a little bit older. So people kind of thought he was by himself, I guess. But
well,
we started
I
singing
remember
when I was probably 3, 4, or 5.
Yeah. Well, I remember you because you hung with my kids anyway. Hung with a bunch of them. So I always felt like you guys and the Barnetts, a bunch of them were all my kids too. We've traveled in the same same place, but the Fundamentalist Gypsy Life, you
boy.
Yeah, you actually are like me with the Fundamentalist Gypsy Life. This is actually what you did too, traveling around most of your life. Well, all of your life really. But how you been doing? What's going on in your life?
Doing well. A lot of people know I adopted my little girl.
Yes, Nora.
I've got going now. That's the next biggest thing. Little Nora.
Yes.
I mean, she's 4.
So, yeah. She's absolutely cute.
She loves to travel too. She thinks that she's gypsy. So.
Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So she loves to go. Yeah, she's following right in the footsteps, I reckon.
Yeah, she is a cutie, though. I've been watching,
that's about
we've been blessed to just watch her on Facebook and some of the media to see how the process with you has been going on. I'm so happy for you. It's just great. She's just a doll.
Yeah. The Lord has definitely blessed me with her. He's definitely has opened those doors, and he's given her right to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has. It's been a journey.
Yeah. So, another thing is you're a business owner, and I thought that was pretty cool. Jamie was telling me about it a long time ago, and I've known for a long time ago how you have your own business, and now you got Nora and traveling, and you got a lot going on, and God's still blessing, and you're just still traveling on for God, and letting the word get out. And so tell me a little bit about some of that. What's going on? I know your mom just passed, and I loved your mom. Loved your mom, and she was a great influence in my life, especially when we started evangelism, and had a lot of the great laughs with your family. And I remember getting to go in the when you guys had a trailer, and we went in there. Sometimes had pizza with your mom and dad, and laugh and cut up, and we had a great time. They were great for me.
Yeah,
they're so funny, so sweet.
Yeah. When she passed, I heard stories of other evangelist wives, preachers' wives, who said she was the greatest help to them when they started out in the ministry.
Absolutely.
Was Ms. Vicky Barnett had said, mom was an encouragement to her with homeschooling, and they got together and just, you guys just helped each other out because
absolutely.
You just encouraged each other, and how mom I guess she just had, well, I know she did. She had a sweet attitude about where she was at and what the Lord had called my dad to do. and
Right.
she loved doing it, and she loved the ministry.
And but I remember her and Vicky Burnett. We all were at like Hoosier Hills. We were at a couple places the same place, but we had the I think it was Duncan's campground and the old fashioned campground. I think is what I called it. And that's where I really got to know your mom and Vicky. And when we first started evangelism, and they were a hoot, and they would tell me stories. I just, and those are my precious memories that I have of them. So many times just laughing and cutting up, and I mean, crazy things would happen, and we just, we would look at each other and just bust out laughing. So, because we knew what was going on when other people didn't, and had that, sarcasm in our minds, I guess is what I would say. But I enjoyed it. And so, what else is your business? And Jamie said you were I know
Right,
I got
right.
Jamie. I work.
Right, yeah.
And so Jamie helps keep me up on some stuff. Her and Wes. God has called me to do this, and I've been fighting this kind of thing, ministry, for a while. And so they just like, we're doing it, Mom, and they've been helping me and taking, getting information for me, what I need and stuff. So, but anyway, I heard you were traveling again, and I'm excited that you guys are traveling again. Are you excited about it? Are you having a good time, or?
So we still traveled a little bit, but we've been home. I think my home church feels like I've abandoned them, because I'm usually home and involved in all the everything, and I just feel like I haven't been able to be involved in anything, and so but it's a blessing, and it's been a good, and I think the Lord has just done it to help, a good distraction. It's part of healing for us.
Absolutely.
A lot of new doors have opened up. We've gone back to some familiar places that we go to every year. But a lot of new doors have opened up, and I actually get asked a lot, what is easier for you to go to, the new churches or the churches that you've been to, going back to. And I think they both have the same, because when you go to a new church, they just know you for who you are right now.
Right.
So you kind of get to just be the new, because we're different now. Mom was the face, believe it or not. She was the face of our ministry. She didn't go there and sing a lot, but she was, the backbone and the face of our ministry. And I just kind of got to stand in the background and just, I get up and shake some hands and talk to people. And I was always a little more outgoing than Mom, but she was still that face. She was Dad's wife. And
right.
And now, because we go of the face, now I get pushed out there to be the face. So when we go to a new church, they just know us as we are now. When we go to a church we've been to that know Mom, it's kind of a bittersweet deal, because you get memories brought up. So you can talk about memories, and you can be sad if you need to be sad. So they both have the same, their own, I guess, pros and cons.
Right.
So you kind of get to, everybody's on you either way. But I have enjoyed it. It's been a good distraction, and loving it. I mean, I think she's just church we're going to next. I mean, she's ready to go. She gets up there in the platform and holds her microphone and tells me what songs I'm going to sing that night. She has her favorites that she likes for me to sing, and just right now her favorite is "I Need You More Today." That's her favorite one. She wants me to sing every single service. Like, Nora, I sang that last night. I can't do that one again tonight.
Hey, she may not. That is awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's great. We're having fun.
That's awesome. I know. I've enjoyed watching her. I've on Facebook and listening to her. I've heard her sing. You've had her. I saw you and your dad up on stage, and she joined you, and it was so cute. reminded me back in the day when our kids would sing and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad. So she's adjusting pretty good, huh?
Yeah. She's doing well. She don't know a stranger, and we go to a church, and she finds there that she takes up with, and that's who she and hangs out with, and just does her thing, and goes off to her
That's
Sunday school
absolutely great.
class or children's church, whatever they have, and just see you later, Mom. Totally off me when I was a kid.
Oh, that's
Unless I was with your kids or the Barnetts, I stayed with my mom. And so she's like, bye. I'm going to my Sunday school class. Okay.
But that's great. I mean, I think that's awesome. Yeah, I always think about when we were at Brother Duncan's camp and seeing y'all, all you kids, us parents would be up in the dining hall eating, and a couple times we'd go out and sit on the picnic table, and y'all would be on that basketball court, and a couple of times y'all would just put the basketball away, and you'd be sitting in a circle just talking and yakking, and I always loved that, watching that, watching you guys, and now watching everybody growing up on the social media platform and seeing where everybody's at, and how the Lord's been blessing everyone and taking care of them. And I have absolutely enjoyed watching the journey of you and your family. And especially now, and I'm so sorry about your mom. I just, like I said, I loved her. But how God does take things, and he can make it sweet. And as you go through life, and he can change things around. And like you said, you guys are busy. And I remember, and that's how it happens. I think when you finally surrender God, and he takes care of you, he just makes it all happen. And, it's kind of like this podcast. I was like, didn't want to do it. Now I've got stuff lined up, and it's just been awesome how God's just put everything together. And I remember when we went into evangelism, we thought we're going to go ahead and just get jobs. And then on the weekends, when we get things, we'll go. And we never had missed a beat. We never missed a church. I mean, God just kept us busy on the road the whole time, and he's just good. He's just very good. But
yeah, I tell you, I had the best. I had the best upbringing ever.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely,
just the best upbringing ever. And I think some of our family, poor Aaron and Rebekah, they don't have a house. I had the best upbringing ever. I mean, I have friends everywhere. I have more friends than most kids that have never left this county,
right.
have, and get to, just, somebody had told me at my mom's, they had said, I didn't realize how many friends you have. I was like, yeah, I mean, what do you think I am? Like a big loser? Yeah, I've had God
touched so many lives,
life, because he's blessed me with traveling. And I always never saw myself as being poor and just poor, pitiful me. It's always the coolest life ever. And I loved every bit of it and every minute of it. I wouldn't want to trade it for anything. And that's partly why I own a business, is because I was tied down to a job for several years. I don't like this. And so God blessed me. He blessed me with owning my business, and I'm able to still travel and serve him. And as long as he opens the door to do it, it's the best life ever. I'd highly recommend it to anyone who wants to give their life to the Lord and do it.
Absolutely. Well, God is good, that's for sure. And I agree with you. I grew up as a pastor's daughter, and then we were on the road, and it's the best life. It has great memories. I have wonderful memories of just how God worked in our lives. Like you said, you touched a lot of lives. You touch a lot of lives you don't realize, and I mean, you realize, but you really don't realize until something happens, or people come together. And I know I've had a few things going on in my life lately, and I just put out there, okay, prayer warriors, I need your help. Didn't tell them what it was or anything. And then they just, by the
Yeah.
by the end of the day, God had already blessed. And I know it was the prayers that were lifted up for me, and it's just awesome to see look on the page
Yeah.
and see who the people were that were praying for me. And I know there were people praying too that weren't on there, but it's just
Yeah.
amazing. It's wonderful.
Sure.
Like, I hadn't heard from them in a while. They were actually praying for me, and I appreciate it. But yeah,
Right.
I think you have the best life.
The funeral director.
Going.
Yeah, the funeral director. He came to me and he at the viewing. He looked at me. He said, "I need to ask you something." I said, "What's that?" I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything. He said, "But who are you people?" Like that. And I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm not. He said, even before COVID, I've not done a funeral this big in years. And he said, I just want to know who you are. And I said, look, my mom was just a Baptist preacher's wife that traveled the country telling people about Jesus. And he just stood there and he was like, wow. And I said, yeah, wow. And the impact that she
What a
made. And
testimony.
that was just, they didn't come to her funerals. They did it for her. And that's the impact that I look at. I think I want that for me one day. I want to live that kind of life that she lived and impact people like she did. And that's what it's all about. That's the opportunity that I have had, the opportunity that I get to do. And it's worth it. It's worth everything.
I've really enjoyed talking to you. I have been looking forward to it because I know so much has gone in your life, and God has just shined down on your family, and He's done the same for my family and my children, and I love how God has taken them, and watching you and the Barnetts and I love the different other evangelist families, not just evangelist families, but preachers' families that we know. And I'm like you. My mom had a big influence on my life, and she at her funeral, we live streamed it, and I can't remember how many people. I mean, she had a lot at her funeral, but how many people actually sat and watched that funeral?
Yeah.
But her and Dad had a church in Chicago, in the Chicago area, and so a lot of them, and they're spread everywhere. And I know that they had a lot of people surrender under their ministry. A lot of people get saved. A lot of people surrender into the ministry, and they had a great testimony. And I'm like you, I want that kind of memory that people saw God in me and saw what I was doing, and that things that I did in my life were for Him. And I know that's why I raised my children. I can truly say on that aspect, I raised my kids to serve God. Now, sometimes they strayed away and stuff, but God gave us that promise that if you raise a child in the way he should go, when he grows old, he will not depart from you. And I really believe that that's one of the promises He gives us. And I that's a precious, precious promise to me that He's given. And I want to have that kind of influence like your mom did, and my mom did, and that people see Jesus in me. And that's all I want. I don't care about anything else really, but that I can just I've got grandkids coming up, and I that's the best thing is grandkids coming up, and that's what I want them to remember me as, not the goofy Gigi that I can be, but
absolutely
that I love the Lord. Yeah, I was just talking to Jamie. We were just did an episode of Growing Up Chestnut, and there was we found a mom's praise book, a prayer book and praise book in her writing, and we were reading it. And one of them was that she was praying that God would bring more missionaries, and that God would use her children and her grandchildren and call them into the ministry. And it was just the sweetest, sweetest thing. Me and her just were like, but that was my mom.
Wow.
Yeah. Very powerful thing to find. I knew Mom prayed for me. I knew Mom prayed for her kids. My mom was a prayer warrior, but that was awesome. And so, like you, it was an awesome life. I had a great childhood, and and I want my children to have the same. And for the Lord, it was the Lord. My dad and my mom, in the pulpit, in the pew, were the same people that they were at home or anywhere. They were the same people,
Yeah.
believed the same thing,
Yeah.
acted the same way, no different, So,
Hmm.
and I know your mom, and I know your
Well, I
dad,
have
and I know
talked
that's
to right. I have talked to other preachers' kids, and that have gone astray and gotten out of church, and
right,
just I talked to them, and I have said, what, why? And growing up with some of these preachers' kids, I have learned that their parents or their dad would preach one thing in the pulpit and live one thing at home, and then act this way at this
right,
church and act this way at that church. And those kids would grow to be bitter. And then that's why when they got old enough, they just left. And that's why they got out, and they got,
right,
lived the way they're living now, and not in church and not living for God. And, my dad and mom definitely were not perfect. But
right.
one
Nobody
thing
is.
that my dad, and mom always did were consistent. And dad never changed for, like, we didn't have one set of standards for this church and one set of standards for that church and one set of this church, and I'll preach this in the pulpit, but we're going to do this outside the pulpit. Dad lived what he preached, and he practiced what he preached. And he so we weren't bitter. We didn't grow up to be bitter. And I'm thankful for that, because
Right,
you're exactly right. Because a lot of times I'm very blessed, because I could have easily been bitter and angry at the ministry,
absolutely.
but I'm not. And I'm very blessed to have parents that taught me consistency, and they lived what they believed.
Right,
With some of those other kind of preacher kids, I could have been a preacher kid, somebody else that 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 lived that kind of hypocritical lifestyle, and I could have been a bitter preacher's kid preacher's kid out in the
right,
world, living a life that's not
right.
glorifying to God, and miserable and unhappy and bitter and angry. And I'm not. I love church, and I love the ministry, and I don't. And
Right.
Dad never. And you know how it is. Preachers do you wrong, and churches do you wrong.
Sure.
But my dad never once would say anything bad about a preacher or a church that did us wrong. He just never would. He just never would say anything bad. He'd say, "Well, I guess we got to pray for him," and he just went on about like nothing. I mean, I'd be
Right,
sitting there as a teenager saying, "I can't believe, this preacher tried to say this and that about you," and he just like, "Ah, whatever," and he would just, "We're not going to let them get to us," and he would just. And so that taught me a lot. And so I love preachers. Preachers are
right.
my heroes. Not
Oh, aren't
not
they?
not
Yeah.
movie stars. Preachers are my heroes.
Right,
And that's who I look
right.
up to. And I owe that to my
Well, the
dad,
Bible says,
because
"Church."
he instilled that in me. And he doesn't care. He's always, what, if they're he didn't say only this preacher and this preacher and preacher can be your hero. He he didn't pinpoint certain preachers. He just, like I said, he never dogged or talked bad about any preacher. Never any of them. And so there's preachers that I like that he don't really probably care for, but he would never say anything. He knows there. He said they can help you, let them help you. And so I'm just thankful, because I was raised in the way I was raised.
Absolutely. My when we had issues, when I was growing up, as a pastor's daughter, if there was issues, um, and my mom would get fired up a little bit, but my dad, they always end up laughing about it, you know, uh, because
Mm,
when it comes to it, you have to worry about your life. I mean, you need to make sure that others see God in you, but you can't make people serve God or do right. And so they're the ones that stand before God for certain things.
right.
And so my parents always tried to make, and it was tough at times. And the later year, God blessed, and it was more of a blessing. My dad always said the church. He pastored for 30 something years. It was like he said, I fought the first 5 years, and then God let us, enjoy the rest of it. And but that's just Satan. He's talking
Mhm.
about the battle of the warfare that goes on between Satan, and you're trying to start a church and start influencing people towards God and stuff. So yeah, I know what you're saying. It was a great childhood, and I was like you. I really didn't know I didn't know we were poor. I didn't know a whole lot of anything. I just knew that God and mom and dad, and this is life. And you mean you don't live this life?
Yeah.
You don't go to church? You know what? You know, so
Yeah.
I was blessed, just like you
What's the
were.
matter with you?
And knowing your mom and your dad, I know you're blessed. I know you were blessed with. You had great parents.
I am.
I have to, say.
Yeah. I feel it. They weren't perfect, and we've had our moments of frustration, and especially
Sure.
Dad and I, we've had to learn to get along without Mom. She was always our buffer.
Right.
So
Sure.
we're a lot alike. So we've learned to get along without Mom, and we're doing very well. We're doing very well. But yeah.
Yeah. I
So
help with my dad,
they were
Jamie, and
definitely. I definitely loved it. And
Jamie and I help with my dad, and sometimes he'll say stuff, and he'll say, "But your mom, this is what she's always." I go, "Well, I'm not mom, unfortunately. I'm trying the best I can, but I'm not mom." But yeah, she was like that for us. So she was the
yeah.
matriarch, definitely, of the family.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And she was the face of it. She was the
Well,
face
Becca,
of
I have
the. I
enjoyed
think Dad
it,
was kind
and
of
I
afraid
hope
that when Mom passed,
you're what?
as I think Dad was afraid when Mom passed that ministry would kind of fade, because they are the matriarch in the
Yeah,
face. But God is still blessing, and we're
right.
still out there trying to do it and serve Him with it. So
Absolutely, and I understand that. That's when my world fell apart and I didn't see how God could use me, and I was worried about things like that. But uh, and after I got done pouting and having my issues, God picked me up, and he just kept me going. Just like you don't miss a beat.
yeah,
God has a plan for you, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or
yeah,
not. He has a plan for us, and so I understand your dad when because it changes, things change, and we don't like change sometimes. So you know, especially with family.
yeah, yeah. I don't either.
But I've enjoyed it, Becca, and uh, maybe let's do this again. We always have plenty to
Yes,
talk about.
absolutely.
Yes, I have totally enjoyed it. I'm got some other. I'm going to have Leslie Noble's going to be on one time too with me, so I'm excited about that. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
that'd be fun.
So, but I've enjoyed this, and hopefully, and I'm sorry, we got technical difficulty because I don't know what's going on with our internet. We just did a episode of Growing Up Chestnut, and it kept going out on us too. So I don't know if our internet is just slow or what. So I don't know. Wes will go through this, I guess, for us, and we'll see how that turns out. But I really appreciate you coming on and doing this with us.
If
And
we need to read,
like I said, we got to
if
do
we
this
need to redo
again.
something, we can. So
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, all right. Well, Becca, it was great to see you.
it
And
won't
we're going to end it
matter.
this way. and we'll
It's good.
we'll do this again. And you have a great day. And tell your family we all said hi. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed
Yes,
it. It's
absolutely.
good to
Thank
see
you for being
you.
on. Good to see you. Bye bye.
Thank you.